Right, hello my gravy granules. As many of you are probably aware, there is a new Senran Kagura coming out on the 22nd of February called Senran Kagura Burst Renewal, which is a remake of Senran Kagura Burst, which in itself is a pseudo remake slash expansion to the original Senran Kagura called Senran Kagura Portrait of Girls, and that was a very long-winded thing. I'm going to do most of this unedited, so do bear with me if there are some errors in this. So I would be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed by this game, what the information they've released so far. Some of it I am looking forward to. I am looking forward to the game in general, but just some of the stuff they've pulled already is a bit cunty, not going to lie. So let's begin with the bad stuff. There's only going to be 12 characters in this game, in the base game, should I mention. So that is the Hanzo squad, which, you know, Asuka, Karuga, Kat, Yagu, Hibari, Daidoji, and then the Hebijo girls, which is actually Homura's Crimson Squad, because this is how they become Homura's Crimson Squad. So there's obviously Homura, Yomi, Hikage, Mirai, Haruka, and Rin, or Susan, whichever you would like to call her. So the remaining girls from Shinobi Versus, which I'd consider the, you know, the base amount of characters, are actually returning as fucking DLC, which I don't really see as being defendable. I understand if they're in the base game, but they have no sort of stories or anything. It, you know, does make sense. This is a retelling of just, you know, Hanzo and Hebijo schools, which, you know, I can get behind. They'll probably be really in-depth. People have said that Burst has one of the better stories out of the Senran Kagura games. So, you know, I can live with that if they're just in the game. You know, you can play as them in multiplayer, etc, etc. However, here, apparently only Yumi and Mayabi are going to have stories. They're paid DLC no matter what. The remaining 8 girls, you know, Murakumo, Yozakura, Shiki, Minori, Imu, Murasaki, Ryobi and Ryona, all going to be free for the first 2 weeks. Let's remember that. And then they'll be paid DLC afterwards, which I'm pretty sure they've done this tactic before with some things, and then when it comes to the Western version, I'm pretty sure it's paid DLC no matter what, which is a massive, you know, blow job. Just a joke. I don't really see the logic behind this. I think most of the people saying that, you know, they're happy for these characters to return as DLC are the hardcore fans, which, you know, they're going to buy it anyway. The people that will get pissed off with this, I mean, I'm pretty pissed off with it, are, you know, the people whose favourite characters are in Gessin and what is now Hebijo, and also the casual players. I mean, casual players are what make up the majority of the fan base of most games, and they're not the kind of people you want to piss off. This will come back to bite them in the ass, I'm fairly certain of it. It's such a stupid way of doing things. Like, I really do understand if they want to sell stories as DLC, like, by selling the actual characters which we've had in the base games is such a shitty move. It's fucking unbelievable. I would even understand if you didn't include them at all. Like, but from what we've seen, there's very, very few changes from Estival Versus in terms of combat. Like, Sengoku Basara is a series that has cut characters out and then brings them back in an expansion. It doesn't sell them as DLC, you know, so that's good. We're talking about a game that did quite massive overhauls to the general combat and everything, which, you know, is a bit more acceptable. Like, they were actually in, so we'll use Sengoku Basara 3 as an example. So Kasuga, Sasuke and Toshiie, we use for examples, were in Sengoku Basara 3, but they were NPCs, whereas in Sengoku Basara 2 they were playable, and then in the expansion of 3 they made playable again, which I can sort of understand, excuse me. I don't really get why they've done this, and I'm literally just dragging this out now to make the video seem longer than it is. So I will buy them no matter what, or just get them to see if it's actually worth the thing. I really do hope they do change their minds and just put the characters in instead, and then just have the stories as DLC, because, you know, people will, well, I say people will, I mean most people are like, oh yeah, they're coming back as DLC, yeah, you know, actually happy that you're getting ripped off, you know. I don't really get it. I mean, it's the same thing as like Estival Versus and Peach Beach Splash had exactly the same DLC costumes, and people, you know, bought twice, although I don't get it. Like, Shinobi Versus and Estival Versus actually had different DLC, other than, like, I think the axe was one of the things that is the same in both games, but whatever. So, moving on from that, like I said, it is reusing stuff from Estival Versus, which includes stages, and also some stages from Shinobi Versus as well. So the school from Shinobi Versus returns, Hanzo School that is, and from a few screenshots, I believe the inside of Hebijo School is another location, returning from Shinobi Versus. Yes, slightly disappointed in that they haven't shown off any new areas. It sort of does make sense to have the Hanzo and Hebijo schools as part of the thing, because that is going to be the main focus of the story, but it's just a bit frustrating that they're really fucking milking this now, taking people a bit too much for granted. Combat is relatively the same. There are a few moves I've seen are different in each of the characters. Hibari and Yagu shown to be using different moves, so that is, you know, quite cool. Although all the ninja arts are exactly the same, so, well, I'll just start by saying I'm not too bothered by this, although I think quite a lot of people are expecting sort of the jump from, you know, Shinobi Versus to Estival Versus. And also, one of the weird arguments I've seen is people say that, oh, they can't just keep reusing the same fucking game, although Shinobi Versus had a cooking game afterwards, or rhythm game, and then after Estival Versus there was a third-person shooter, so they're not exactly, you know, making the same game. There is actually a difference. Like, the series is quite diverse in a sense. Like, they do know what sells in this game. It's, you know, anime tits and ass, which, you know, I can't complain about that, but then when they just reuse the same stuff, it does get a bit fucking frustrating. I am sort of expecting new DLC costumes in this one. Like, the way I would have done it is have all the... So when they release Shinobi Versus, have all the DLC for that. When it comes to Estival Versus, have all the DLC from Shinobi Versus in the base game, and then have a new set of DLC costumes. And then when it came to Peach Beach Splash, have all the DLC costumes from Estival Versus in the base game, and then have all new set of costumes for Peach Beach Splash, and then so on and so on. And then you get more and more content, and then it will look better and better. Like, people will think, holy shit, like the amount of customization and stuff. Yeah, like I said, I think they're just fucking taking people for granted at this point. So with all that negative stuff in the background, I will like to say there are some new features. There is what is called Burst Mode, which a gauge fills up on the left hand side of the character's portrait in the top corner. Asuka is the example for this one. And yeah, you use that to power up yourself during Shinobi Transformation. I'm not sure if this is a replacement to Frantic Mode, if they've just binned it or something, but hopefully not. So it's an augment to that. It allows you to increase your power as well as doing infinite amount of aerial raves, which is good because, you know, that was the maximum ability of playing normal style in Shinobi Versus and Estival Versus, I believe, which, you know, was the one you were going to power up the least. So, you know, that's cool. And then you get a scene much like the combined aerial raves from Estival Versus, which, you know, you continuously attack the opponent and do a shitload of damage. Whereas here, obviously, you're by yourself, and you can strip an enemy from fully clothed to fully stripped, which is quite a nice feature. I imagine most people will be ending stages with this. So, you know, there's all that. Another feature they've actually shown off is, well, besides the recycled, you know, old costumes, some of which were DLC, they've actually shown off you can change the skin tone of each of the characters, which is, you know, pretty weird. Not a feature I would have gone for, But yeah, nice one altogether. Although Homura does look really weird, like without the tan. And obviously there's a picture of Mirai with probably the most excessive tan lines I've ever seen in my life. But you know, that is a nice feature for people that, you know, want to see girls tanned or something, or, you know, less tanned or whatever. I'm not sure what scale it's going to go up to. I don't think anybody knows, or if it's the same as like the costumes in the previous games where you only get 5 presets. That would be a bit disappointing. Speaking of that, I really do hope they increase the customization on the costumes we have so far. I will use this as an example again. I hope they do it the Sims 3 route, where you get 3 different patterns on each of the costumes. So we'll take the kimono for example. So one of them you get flowers, one of them you get, say, you know, noodles or some shit, and then another one you get like, I don't know, fucking weed leaves or whatever. And then besides those options of different patterns, you can choose different colours to do them in, which would be pretty cool. It would make people probably think about their customizations a little bit more. Not that it's a bad thing, but it would be quite a nice feature to have. So yeah, that's about it really. So a few new moves for people. Oh, another new feature, all Shinobi transformations we've seen so far are different. There's more personality injected to them. The way they initiate it is all different now, whereas in the old games where they just used to throw the scroll up in the air and then, you know, the clothes sort of like generate on them, going from their feet to their tits, they've actually changed that. So I do like that. Some of them are pretty cool. Katsuragi's is quite funny, but yes. Some new defeat animations as well. Hibari is one of them, which is a bit weird. She seems to have changed in all the games, but you know, whatever. Some new attacks, like I said, and I really should have made a bullet point for the rest of this video. It's, yeah, other than that, there's not really a lot to say about this game. It's Senran Kagura Burst with the features of Estival Versus, essentially, which seems a bit of a weird way to do it. I do like the idea that they certainly know the PlayStation fans want a 3D type action game, whereas, you know, the reason why it was on the 3DS and a 2D style game is because obviously the 3DS isn't as powerful. So obviously if you have it 2D, there's less stuff you need to render, and then you can get it as, you know, good as it possibly could on a 3DS, which, you know, it's not the place I think of when I think of, you know, a high speed action based game. It's, yeah. So I should mention all the artwork is absolutely amazing. All the girls look extra thick, hashtag extra thick. And yeah, I do like how they've upgraded the graphical style a little bit. Everything is sort of a bit more refined. I think it might be because, you know, they've just ditched the PS Vita completely, which, you know, I think people will be pissed off with. However, that's the only way to sort of progress things in a way. The Vita is limited, so obviously, unless you want a really downgraded version, then not a lot you can do about that. So yes, at the moment I'm a bit mixed feelings. I'm looking forward to playing the game. However, you know, the issue with the old characters returning as DLC is so fucking stupid, it's untrue. And, you know, the reusing of, you know, 90% of Estival Versus seems a bit cheap as well. Yeah, I hope there's new stuff to add to this game. I'm just reading some of the comments here. It's good they're including Maybe and Yumi DLC. Oh dear. Yes, people are actually happy that we're getting stuff which we had for free initially as paid DLC. We are through the looking glass now, folks. Fuck me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the graphical style. I'm looking forward to the gameplay. Well, I want to see how much they actually switch it up by. To be honest, they've been a bit stingy with the details they've actually put out about this game. I mean, we don't actually know if there's going to be a multiplayer mode, which is a bit fucking weird. I don't actually think they said that about Estival Versus, though. I don't think they even said there was going to be multiplayer. Actually, no, they did. They said it'd be 10 players, because obviously it was the first one on PS4. And then the same with PBS, whereas this, they're really fucking stingy about the details. It's not like, you know, Dynasty Warriors 9, which literally everybody knows everything about it. You know, and there I go, I mentioned it, unfortunately. Fuck! Yeah, so Marvelous, don't make me hate you for doing shitty business practices. Like, I know that is like cheap and easy money, just resell the DLC, but still. Like, the core audience will fucking leave. It's whatever. So there we go. Let me know what you're looking forward to, or if you have any justifications as to why, you know, the old characters or your waifus should be paid DLC. Let's remember they're only free for the first 2 weeks, and if you're a hardcore fan, obviously you're going to get it then, whereas, you know, people that aren't as up to date with these things aren't really going to know, and then they'll see that it's paid DLC and then fuck off. So honestly, I hope there is multiplayer as well. I hope the tower defense mode comes back as well, because that was really fucking fun. Also hope they sort of do another mode like in Valkyrie Drive. Actually, I think they should just, you know, import some Valkyrie Drive features into this game, because it's, you know, I'm gonna say it, I think Valkyrie Drive is the better series. Not gonna lie, it's the combat's a bit more fun. So whatever, probably get a few dislikes for saying that. But yeah, there we go. Sorry, this was a bit unedited, but yes. Thank you very much for watching. If you did, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.